Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the state flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Minnesota, for friendship among the United Nations. Next item on the agenda is going to be the approval of regular meeting agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the regular meeting agenda.
Second. So we have first by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a presentation and proclamations. Item A on the agenda is law enforcement memorial presentation. This will be by Grant County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Burns.
Thank you, sir. I think we're live now. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce to the Commission, elected appointed officials and the public, Mr. Trent Eddy. He is the Sheriff's Department chaplain. He is a volunteer with many years of experience who is now providing those very necessary services to our staff, and also extends it to those that we deal with in the field when they're in a time of need. And obviously we do interface with a number of members of the public who have difficult situations. Today I'd like to take just a few minutes of time to remember. Month of May is a month of remembrance, and in my nearly 15 years with the Sheriff's Department, I can't recall our agency ever formally recognizing those who have given their lives in service to the people of our communities. I've prepared a very short PowerPoint, and as a surprise to me, we were able to contact Deputy Benjamin Green's daughter, Kelly Green. She lives out of state, and hopefully she will be joining us via the Polycom very quickly here to hear the presentation and for us to honor her father's service and sacrifice to us. I thought this was a... Kelly, are you there?
I am.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Welcome. You are present via teleconference at the Grant County Commission meeting today, and we are just about to present a very short PowerPoint for a brief memorial to those who have given their lives in service to others in our county as well as nationwide. I'll narrate the slides, and also, just so you know, I'm going to send you a video link so that you can see this on the closed circuit system that is filming it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, and thank you for your family's sacrifice for all of us. First slide is a Norman Rockwell painting from 1958 that was shown to me when I went through my first police academy in 1986, and it shows a very large, burly policeman sitting next to a kid. It's titled The Runaway, and it epitomizes the type of thing that police officers tend to do more often than some of the more sensationalized or Hollywood version things. Little things, quiet things, but necessarily big things in the lives of people. This month we honor and remember those who have sacrificed in service to others, and you can read the police officer's prayer Many of us are thinking about this concept one way or another when we leave the house in the morning. We look at our loved ones, look at the house, pet the dog, feed the cat, and we hope that we're going to be coming home in one piece, and we hope that everybody else does the same. 3 members of the Grant County Sheriff's Department have died in the line of duty that we are aware of, and we'd like to just briefly remember them. The first was Charles B. Smith. His end of watch was July 29, 1907. Deputy Smith was shot and killed by a crazed drunk man. Deputy Smith responded to the suspect's home after he had fired at a civilian from his porch. As he pushed open the door of the suspect's home, the suspect opened fire, killing Deputy Smith. Suspect was later arrested after a standoff with other officers. He was survived by 2 sisters and 1 brother. Ventura Bencomo, end of watch, April 2nd, 1921. Jailer Bencomo was killed by 2 juvenile prisoners, ages 14 and 17, during an escape attempt. Jailer Bencomo was sleeping on a bed in the jail when one of the escapees struck him in the head with an axe. Both suspects were captured near Hanover. A short time later, both suspects were convicted of Jailer Bencomo's murder. Jailer Bencomo had been with the agency for 12 years and was survived by his wife and 12 children. And to my knowledge, members of that family still reside in our communities. And last but not least by any means is Deputy Benjamin L. Green, end of watch, February 28th, 1981. And for many of us, that wasn't very long ago. There are people in this room, I'm sure, who were here and remember the incident. Deputy Green was shot and killed in an ambush while investigating reports of a prowler with a rifle near Pinos Altos. While Deputy Green and his partner searched around at a home, the suspect, who was hiding in a tree, shot Deputy Green in the chest with the rifle. Deputy Green was transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his wound later the same day. The suspect fled the scene but was arrested near Clifton, Arizona. The man was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Deputy Green was survived by his wife, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and 3 stepchildren. And one of his daughters, Kelly, is with us today. I'd just like to take a moment to remember these folks. These are our local heroes. These are people who have given their lives in service to others. And once again, during the month of May, we want to reflect on their sacrifices and on the sacrifices of their families and loved ones. Kelly, did you want to say a few words?
I'm extremely grateful that you all are acknowledging this. I'm his oldest child. I was 16, my brother was 15, and then I have a younger brother and sister also. So we grew up not getting to know our dad on our weddings, and none of our children have got to meet him. I ended up getting a degree in criminal justice and worked with victims of crime, and I'm now a teacher. But I just want you to know how grateful I am that you all have chosen to do this career, and I know that you take your life in your hands, and your family takes your life in their hands every time you leave. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, and you know that he, these others, and all of their family and loved ones are members of an eternal brotherhood that does remember and honor them. As of today, and this number has changed, in a moment of reflection, in 2018, 163 law enforcement officers were killed in the line of duty in the United States. 2019, and this is the number that's changed just in the last 2 weeks, I believe it's now up to 37, and in the last 10 years, 1,656 of us have given their lives in service to our communities, our states, and our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly, thank you very much for being with us today. I'll be in touch with you to provide you with the link to see the video, and we hope to stay in touch and make this a regular feature of our presentations to this body during the month of remembrance.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Green.
Thank you, Lieutenant Burns. Next item on the agenda is item B, proclamation declaring May 16, 2019 as Secondhand Smoke Awareness Day. Before we read the proclamation, Commissioner Edwards would like to say a few things.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to introduce Julie Dunning-Farmer and her fourth grade class from Stout Elementary. Also here today is Becky Traeger, Miss Dunning-Farmer's substitute while she is on maternity leave. Michelle Giese, who is with the New Mexico Department of Health and the Health Promotions team member for Grant County, and Mary Morgan, the Southwest Region Health Educator for the New Mexico Tobacco Use Prevention and Control Program, also known as TUPAC. Ms. Dunning-Farmer's class participated in the Kids for Smoke-Free Air Challenge by collecting signatures from over 300 people who pledged not to smoke in their cars or homes. There were prizes available through the program, the largest of which was $1,000 if they collected 200 signatures in about 4 weeks. Ms. Dunning-Farmer's class collected over 300 pledges in just 2 weeks, and Mary informed me this morning that was more than any other group in the state collected. So, great job, you guys. Awesome. The money they earn will support the Stout School Garden, which they have been working on all year. In the last 2 years, Ms. Dunning-Farmer's fourth graders have built a greenhouse with the help of Rick Bohart and Poco Loco Farm, a pollinator garden with funding and help from Freeport McMoran, and an awesome vegetable garden with the help of local contractors, parents, family, friends, and classmates. They have produced greens, sprouts, and starts this year, along with dozens of garden-related core curriculum learning opportunities. We're here today to expand on their efforts by declaring today as Secondhand Smoke Awareness Day in Grant County, and also to present the $1,000 check to the fourth grade class. Kevin, will you read the proclamation, please?
My pleasure. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in recognition of the effects of secondhand smoke on children's health, whereas the U.S. Surgeon General has declared that secondhand smoke is a major health hazard for children, and whereas nearly 22 million American children breathe in the poisons from secondhand smoke every day, and whereas secondhand smoke is made of thousands of poisonous chemicals, including benzene, butane, ammonia, toluene, cadmium, and hydrogen cyanide, and whereas studies show that children exposed to secondhand smoke are sick more often, their lungs grow less, they get more bronchitis and pneumonia, are more subject to asthma and asthma attacks, they have more ear infections, and babies exposed to secondhand smoke are at higher risk of dying of SIDS. And whereas nicotine exposure in any form among youth and young adults can disrupt growth of brain circuits that control attention, learning, and susceptibility to addiction to other drugs, such as cocaine and methamphetamine. Effects of nicotine exposure on youth brain development can be long-lasting and can include lower impulse control and mood disorders. And whereas no amount of secondhand smoke is safe for children, this proclamation encourages smokers to join the Kids for Smoke-Free Air Challenge by pledging to make their homes and cars smoke-free, thereby eliminating the significant health risks to Grant County children. And now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 16, 2019 be declared as Secondhand Smoke Awareness Day. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, the 16th day of May, 2019.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we declare May 16th, 2019 as Secondhand Smoke Awareness Day.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
But I did have a question. I want to know what they're going to do with all that money.
Partake.
That's a lot of pizza.
So what we would like to do now is have you join us for some photographs and a presentation of the proclamation.
So
And the check.
you want them to line up?
Line up right here in front. Yep.
Whining might not be quite right. You guys really Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. That's probably how you know how to This is one of those checks. This is one of the Yeah.
We ready?
Oh, man!
So everybody, come on in. Michelle, so here, you guys hold on to this. Here we go. Come on now. Big foam jack. Foam? It's foam. It's foam. It's foam.
Okay. No chewing on it, no taking a piece. Okay? So, I want whoever holds the end. They have to hold the corner so it doesn't like come up and crack somebody in the eye. Little dough. Good job. So good. So just
Okay, everybody. Say school garden to the cameras.
oh my God, you guys are adorable. Not adorable. Okay, this is supposed to be fun too. Now we get to do a crazy picture. So you get to go crazy. Okay? You want a thumbs up? Want to do, oh, perfect. I'm not that nervous. Somebody do crazy. You do a crazy pose. Do you crazy? Bunny ears. This snapped it open. Okay. Bunny ears. Can we do crazy? All right.
Come on, guys.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Give me your crazy. Let's bring the crazy out. Good job. Yes. Well done.
Good, good? Okay. Thank you, guys. Charlene, is John here? Don't see him.
Appreciate it.
That's something nice to do.
Thank you guys. Have fun today. That was great. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good work. Moving on to the next item C on the agenda, it's proclamation proclaiming the week of June 12th through June 15th, 2019 as the First New Mexico Bank Wild West Pro Rodeo Week. I don't see anybody here from there. So, Kevin, if you could just read the proclamation, please.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the Southwest Horsemen's Association and High-Low Pro Rodeo will be presenting the First New Mexico Wild West Pro Rodeo in Grant County, New Mexico. And whereas the Wild West Pro Rodeo is celebrating its 29th year in Grant County in 2019. And whereas cattle ranching was created by the early settlers of the North American continent. And whereas ranching has been a major contributor to the history, customs, culture, and romance of Grant County. And whereas the sport of rodeo perpetuates and keeps these qualities alive, and whereas the Wild West Pro Rodeo is one of Grant County's major tourist attractions, and spectators, tourists, and rodeo cowboys and cowgirls from throughout the West will converge in Grant County for this annual event. Now therefore be it resolved that the governing body of the County of Grant does hereby proclaim the week of June 12th through June 15th, 2019 as the First New Mexico Bank Wild West Pro Rodeo Week, signed and sealed the 16th day of May 2019 by the Grant County Board of Commissioners in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this proclamation proclaiming the week of June 12th through the 15th as New Mexico Bank Wild West Pro Rodeo Week.
I second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the elected official reports. Captain, would you like to start off?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, members of the public. Overall, the deputies at the Sheriff's Department are still performing their job as well, even being understaffed. Morale is remaining high. We have been tasked with significant resources into the mining district, but we are very optimistic now with the arrival of Chief Alvarez from the Bear Police Department. We've been meeting with him several different occasions, and I think he's going to be a great asset to this area. Currently, the Grant County Sheriff's Office staff cross-commissioned with the Luna County Sheriff's Department this last month. And on top of that, Sheriff Gomez has scheduled an appointment with Sheriff Walter out of Hidalgo County with the hopes of the same. What this is going to do is going to effectively allow a greater presence, faster response, and a little bit more enhanced public safety in the Hachita area, as well as the whole tri-county area down in the Waterlands. And I believe that meeting is set up for next week with Sheriff Walters. Also, currently we're going through and doing our spring and summer grant funding enforcement activities, getting them scheduled. That would include our Forest Service patrols, DWI operations, and we're doing some enhanced stone guarding operations with conjunction with Luna County, now that we're all cross-commissioned, and hopefully with Hidalgo County in the future. Also, within this last month, we have starting on July 1st, we renewed our stuff with HIDA, and we've actually already had a couple officers get sent to training on HIDA's dime as far as HIDA supplying the tuition, HIDA supplying the per diem, and we're hoping come July 1, with our agreement back in place, that we'll actually receive some additional training and funding from them to assist us with that. As far as the monthly stat stuff, I'll try to keep it pretty brief for you and not get too in-depth. For the last 30 days, deputies have been dispatched to 482 calls for service and have self-initiated 757. And just a brief rundown on some of those, alarm calls have been up, and 99.9% of these alarm calls are false alarms, residential houses or businesses. But all said, within 3 days, it took up a little over 13 man-hours responding to the alarms. We were at 27 total. Domestic disturbances are up a little bit, not a whole lot from last year. That's probably mainly due to the warmer weather. People are being out later and a little more active. Traffic stops are down, which with us, being short 10 slots, that's understandable. Larcenies have decreased slightly. Agency assists are up. With the last 30 days, 10 being dispatched, 5 of the officers self-initiated by responding. And that's when other agencies are already on scene. Frequent patrols is up. Welfare checks is another one that takes up a lot of our time, and that is mainly phone calls from family members or friends from out of state who haven't been able to get in contact with a loved one or a friend, and they ask us to go by and check on them. And out of those, we're dispatched to 48, and officers self-initiated on 4, but that still took up a little over 58 man-hours of time. A lot of that, will be travel time to wherever the address is the person lives and back. So, civil standbys is also on an increase. That one we're trying to address. There was a total of 13 within the last 3 days, taking up 14, a little over 14 man-hours. A lot of that just comes with scheduling with the person requesting a standby. It's mainly just for us to maintain the peace. There's no other involvement. But when we get there, we're expecting to be there for a few minutes, and they want us to stand by while they completely move all their furniture and stuff out of the residence. So we're slowly working on getting that taken care of. Citizen contacts by actual patrols down a little bit, but again, they're spending more of their time actually on call since we're on the short staff. Special details is up considerably from last year, but that is also because we have Stone Garden in effect. So the officers are able to schedule for that more. The last one I'll talk about as far as the stats that I think has an impact is vehicle crashes. In the last 30 days, there was 24 total, 1 with injury, 23 without. The reason I want to bring that up is that used up a little bit over 26 and a half man hours. The problem with that is usually on an accident, it doesn't tie up one deputy, it usually ties up 2. You have one who's actually investigating the collision, and you have one that's monitoring traffic and assisting with traffic control. So that one does tie up a lot of our time. I know Sheriff Gomez has big contact with the Mexico State Police in regards to the traffic crashes, and I know they were working on some way of trying to get it to balance out where maybe we're not handling quite as many. So that pretty much takes care of the overall for there. As far as our operations inside the mining district, for the last 30 days, we've responded to a total of 14 calls, spending a little over 23 man-hours in the mining district. As far as Baird goes, inside the city of Baird, Santa Clara, deputies responded to 12 calls, taking a little bit over 5 man-hours, which is pretty much the same as last year. It didn't really change much. And then North Hurley, which is ours anyway, there was a total of 4 calls. And in Hurley itself, we responded to 12 calls for service, which is doubled from the same period of last year, taking a little bit over 5 man-hours. And even though the calls doubled, the man-hours that we used last year and this year are pretty close to the same. And then as far as the civil division, they served a total between April and May. April they served 164 subpoenas. This month they've already served 84. We're only halfway through, so it should come out to relatively the same numbers. Summons was 74 in April, 43 in May so far, and writs was 7 in April and 6 so far this month, so it'll probably be a little bit higher. And they didn't give me no totals on the money that was collected. So that's all I have as far as our report goes.
Do we have any questions?
Just like to thank you for the thoroughness of the report.
Thank you. I have one question for you. How many reports on the lines did you have?
I thought it was 24 and 3, so 27 total.
27?
27 for a total of 13 and a half man hours.
And how, did you give us a percent or a number of how many were false?
I'm sorry, ma'am, one more time?
Tell us again the number that were false alarms.
Oh, it's going to be probably 99%. I think the only alarm call we've had in the last month that actually was not a false alarm was the one at the bank. And on another note, I will add, in the last month, we did hire a new deputy by the name of Gabriel Reynolds, who's currently in the police academy right now here at Western. He'll be graduating next month, so that will put us one more person on board that's already going to be certified when he shows up. So that will help us out a lot. And that also gained us a couple more applicants from the actual academy. So we're really pushing hard.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you. Mr. Torieta.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, and for starters, I'd like to congratulate the proclamation that you wrote on the secondhand smoke, because I'm one of the victims on secondhand smoke back in the day. I do inhalers, whenever I go work out, but that was very good that you guys did that, because it is a big issue, and once again, I am one of the victims when it comes down to secondhand smoke back, like I said, back in the day. I do thank my staff. I really give them a great big hand, because we do have a lot of work, not only due to the fact that we just had a protest period and we had over 171 protests. So if you see my office a little skimpy, they're out in the field doing their field work and actually collecting comps. So if you see an individual or two in the office, and we are doing some extensive training, not only with my employees for the protest, and like I said, once again, we had about 171 protests for the year 2019. Come June 1st, we're actually going to start receiving our state of safe property, so we can actually get our central assessments and all our values in by June 15th. And I do want to give a special thanks on people that went out to vote on Senate Bill 9. I think it was a very important elections, and thanks to the county clerks and the way they handled it. And thank you for going out to vote. That was a very, very big issue. Thank you once again. On the 20th of May, they actually have the Viva Connect, and that's actually connecting the statewide summit. And I've been involved in that for the last few years, and I might be going up there, sit in. I talked to Ron Troy. I thought he was going to go up there, or Desiree Liska. She's actually was working in my office, and now she does the trails here, open spaces here in Grant County, so I'll probably be attending that. I'll give you a report on what's going on there. On the 23rd and 24th, where they're going to have a proposed issue on information sharing information there in Santa Fe, for example, for commercials, hotels, the big box stores, the general retail stores, and it's going to be the attorney from Santa Fe, and she's actually Bridget Jacoby. She's actually was an attorney for property tax division, and she's very knowledgeable, and there's quite a lot of important issues we're going to be talking about. Information requesting the taxpayers on what we can give out on questionnaires, what values on real property or leaseholders, and condos are going to be another issue that we're going to talk about. One of the big ones is going to be exemptions, type of exemptions requested for RISE legal issues like education, fraternal, social claims of charitable, hospitals, property finance, and bonding. Land's going to be to tribal for Indian tribal from TRD. And leases for exempt lands, handouts, and on the 23rd, they're actually going to have a regulation adjustments for grazing on leases, so probably be attending that also. So resources under PTD, and that's Property Tax Division, under their websites for the rulings under the protests. Under the IAAO, the International Association of Assessing Officers, and I'm actually sending 5 or 6 to the training there for my office, so they can take their, see if they can get their certifications. They're going to actually talk about partial exemptions and calculations, and also talk about protests, do a little bit of protest board from dealing with attorneys, tax consultant, what's happening with the Open Meeting Act. It's going to be quite interesting that we're actually going to have some mock trainings on protest. Other than that, we're just real busy. We're in the process of still doing our reappraisal there in the assessor's office. But right now, one of my main objectives is try to get through this protest period. We have so many days, and I just want to get it out of the way as soon as possible. And I stand for any questions.
Mr. Trietta, on the 171 protests for this year, the way you said it sounded like it was a lot. Is it? How's it compared to last year?
Matter of fact, out of 21,000 we mailed out, it really is not that much.
Okay. How's it compared to last year?
Last year we had about 130. Last year. It's not bad. We do have a lot of commercials and vacant land. And talking with the realtors, the land, vacant land is not selling as what it should be selling, but it's really not that.
So does that drive the protest?
Yes, it does to a certain extent. And I'm glad that we have, the staff to work on these comps. The only problem that we have, Commissioner Edwards, is that we don't have full disclosure here in the state of New Mexico, so it's kind of difficult to get that information so we can create our land values. Because we are using our land values from quite a few years ago. But that really helps us out work on the market because they have to send in their comps on what they paid or how they comped out their land. But I'm glad you asked that because it's really not that alarming, but we do have a few commercial protests.
Okay. Thank you.
That was exactly my question.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, first of all, I'd like to recognize our seasonal employee, Samuel Hernandez. Tomorrow will be his last day in our office as he's accepted the position of the accounts payable clerk, I believe it is. And he's an excellent employee. As the other person that was in our office as well has progressed and is now in the clerk's office. So, I give him credit. We collected almost $1.3 million in the last month. And I would say he probably, in his learning quickly, probably collected maybe half of that. And he was really, dedicated and really, I think he's going to make a good employee for the county. And so I'd just like to acknowledge him, and as well as the rest of the staff, because they've all been helping him with all the questions, and they're learning. They do learn a lot of what goes on, the in and outs of the workings of the assessor's office as well as the treasurer's office and what we do. So as shown on the report, we've collected 89.58% of the 2018 taxes so far, as of yesterday, end of business. And during the last month, like I said, $1.3 million. And overall collections for July 1st of 18 through yesterday was $21,640,871.59 overall. So we have been fairly busy. So I just stand for any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, our office has been pretty busy. We just we conducted a special all-mail elections for the Silver Consolidated Schools. We are also we're preparing. There's been a lot of changes for the new local election law. HB 407 has a lot of changes for our office, so that's been keeping us really busy. And also we're in the process of a project of updating some of our old records. We're looking at the time frame of about 1975 to 1990 and digitizing those. Makes it a lot easier for the public to access the records, just, if they get online, if they get on the computer in our office. It also preserves our old records. That's just a little bit about what's going on in our office.
Thank you. I just want to say real quick, commend you and your office and your staff for the election and the great work that you guys are doing. Thank you.
So, Madam Clerk, you didn't actually say what the results were, so I thought maybe you'd want to do that. And then I just wanted to know how the turnout was compared to...
So I was going to do all that during our portion of the canvas. I can do it now if you like.
No, canvas is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No other elected officials? Okay. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, be public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Request forms are available in the county manager's office. Do we have anyone for public input?
Good morning. I'm Glenn Griffin, and I am unpaid. In response to Commissioner Billings on wildlife services, the math is simple. Divide 82,000 by 52 weeks, and it is $1,576 a week in what Grant County pays for the no-bid wildlife service times 5 weeks, or $7,884 for nothing during Trump's shutdown. $82,000 divided by how many hours? Half time of 2,000 hours, full-time per year is $82 an hour. Pricey. The commissioners don't know how many hours our part-time wildlife service specialist trapper works because the hours, location, public and private land are not in the report as requested. The latest report does list M44s used for killing in the past quarter. And the quarter started in February, not January. Did taxpayers get a small break for the shutdown? I don't know. The Silver City Daily Press, July 18th, 2018, page 19 on wildlife service contract printed. The contract, and I'm quoting directly, if approved, will be matched by federal government funds. The county would pay $25,000, which will be matched by $57,000 to a total of $82,000 according to the contract as proposed. Was the paper misled too? When I had a long conversation with Rodolfo Fajardo back in January during the layoff, he didn't have email because he wasn't in the office. I wrote down what we talked about in a memo, I guess like Comey, just in case. It's like dealing with one of the federal government's most secretive agencies. Clearly, getting Fajardo on the record is going to be a challenge. So commissioners, why deal with this secretive agency when you see their lack of reporting and accountability? My 2 dogs were trapped, ultimately killing one 6 months later after thousands spent on vet bills. Porsche was just feet off the Continental Divide Trail up in PA. Stink bait pulled her in, otherwise she was just running along the trail where my business had just thinned. My other dog, Rosie, a German Shepherd, is still alive. She still has a mark on her left front paw from the leg hold trap. I am a resident of Commission District 4 and expect better, factual, and responsible treatment from my commissioner. I am your watchdog on wildlife services. Trapping is banned in Marin County and all of California, Los Alamos County, New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado. In Colorado, leg hold traps are banned. Cage traps are allowed for now. In Arizona, trapping is banned on public lands, just the way it will be here after HB 366 passes. Where are the additional $57,000 in funding coming from? It's not in the county's budget. The county's match by law can be utilized for other than killing our wildlife, such as road machinery for improving secondary roads, or in Doña Ana County, $17,000 in public fund. In Doña Ana County, with their $17,000 public funds match by a new resolution, can only be used for soil and water conservation, noxious weed control, secondary road construction and maintenance, and now, and this is the change, the control of predators and rodents using exclusively non-lethal methods. Doña Ana pays less and is not using shooting or M44s to kill our wildlife. Grant County, it's time for a change in wildlife services. Start with bidding and actual reporting on your $82,000 contract. Taxpayers are equal stakeholders along with cooperators. Consider demanding Wildlife Services own non-lethal methods, or better yet, sever the killing contract with Wildlife Services. Thank you for your 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Anybody else for public input? Okay, thank you. Moving to next item on the agenda, so approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the minutes of the April 16, 2019 work session and the minutes of the April 18 regular meeting.
Second.
Mr. Edwards seconds the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is financial report. Consideration of May 2019 expenditure report.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the May 8th, 2019 expenditure report.
Wow.
We're all stunned because our computer screens are giving us an electronic voting option that we've never seen before.
Vote. I'm for. What do you guys?
And it didn't happen on the approval of the minutes.
Oh, yeah, it won't go away.
I suspect the Russians.
Is
it on your screen too?
And he said it won't go away.
It's not on mine.
And I don't know, it doesn't say for what.
Has there been a motion made?
Yes, there was a motion by Commissioner Williams, a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, item G, consideration of notice of intent for P&M Solar Direct Program. I believe Mr. Ashburn has some answers to the questions we had.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'd like to take a moment this morning and thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak to you guys today. Let me start by saying that P&M appreciates its partnership and we really appreciate all the things that we do with Grant County. We look forward to collaborating on efforts that's going to benefit your constituents and our customers in the Grant County area going forward. Today I'm here to briefly speak with you about the P&M Solar Direct Program, a proposed voluntary solar program that could help Grant County in its efforts to move towards sustainable energy. As this program is a voluntary one, it will have to go before the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission. If approved, voluntary energy subscriptions would be available to the government and large commercial customers, which include Grant County. Through your participation in the program, Grant County would offset approximately 69% of its annual power usage with clean, sustainable solar energy once a 50-megawatt solar facility is constructed and put into operation approximately in 2021. This facility will be located in northern New Mexico and will provide the county with cost-effective, sustainable energy. There will be no upfront costs, no upfront capital costs, and this voluntary program will provide hedging against future cost increases in fuel and generation. More importantly, the P&M Solar Direct Program will help put Grant County at the forefront as a New Mexico and a national renewable energy leader. Lastly, as a follow-up to our meeting on Tuesday at the Commission's work session, I'd like to assure all of you that this program is not under any kind of legal action. There is a lawsuit before the New Mexico Supreme Court pertaining to an open period for an RFP, as well as contesting the fact that the proposed site would be built on PNM-owned land and under PNM ownership. That is in front of the Supreme Court as we speak. PNM will sign a power purchase agreement on this project with a developer for the power produced from this solar facility. The project is under no legal action whatsoever. We're excited about this project as it will help local governments such as Grant County move toward its sustainable energy goals in a very cost-effective manner. We appreciate the ongoing collaboration and leadership that you guys have provided for the community. And I'd like to just add real quick that last Thursday, WNMU committed to this program. On Monday of this week, the Deming City Council approved a resolution to participate. And on Tuesday night, the city, Silver City, also decided to go forward with the Solar Direct program. As we all know, each situation is different, and I'm committed to get you any and all of the information that you need to make a decision on this project. I stand for questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Salas?
So, as I understand it, the savings to the county will be on the fuel cost.
That's correct.
Okay, so the kilowatt hour will be the same. So, generally, what is the percentage of the fuel cost?
As we discussed at the work session, we went through the last 3 years. The high on the fuel cost was 2.24 cents. The low during that time period on the fuel cost was 1.5 cents. And over that time period, it averaged 2.2 cents.
So, we would be saving 2.2 cents a kilowatt.
That's not how this is going to work. Basically, what's going to happen is your production, as Mr. Brown actually was correct in approximating, give or take a few, is approximately 1,771,000 kWh. That's your usage throughout the year. The 450 kW subscription that I proposed for you, or I didn't propose for you, PNM proposed for you, would generate 1,220,000 basically. And the way that this is going to work is the cost of that generation through this program is $26,884. At the high level, we'll just keep it at the high level, but at the high level, you would receive a credit, a fuel credit, because there's no fuel used in that program. The fuel credit would be $27,387. You would also get an additional credit, an estimated variable operation and maintenance credit, because you no longer have the responsibility of helping us keep coal plants or other facilities operational. And at that point, you would actually see a credit on your bill of $7,359. The converse side of that, if the fuel cost is actually low, if it stays at the lowest point that it's been in the last 3 years, and remember, we still have a 2-year period before this is going to be operational. It's 2021. But the lowest point at that given date range, it would actually cost the county slightly more. It would cost $1,511 more to use the solar program. The benefits for the county are the fact that you'll be able to offset 69% of the energy that you're using now in a renewable fashion going forward. You'll be able to advertise that 69% of the energy used in Grant County will be provided from a renewable source. The additional benefit is depending on where fuel cost is the additional savings going forward.
Thank you.
I have a clarifying question.
Sure.
Fuel's on the low end, it's going to cost the county $1,511.
That's correct.
But there's still the $7,000 maintenance, et cetera, savings, correct?
No, all of that would go into getting you that cost of $1,511.
Thank you.
Okay? The other thing that I'd like to point out is this is basically a hedge. Because while this is going to offset 69% of your usage, 69% of the electricity is going to be covered under this program. You have 31% of the electricity that is outside of this program. So should fuel cost fall, it will cost you a little more in this program, but 31% of the electricity that you use would see a lower cost because fuel cost would be low. Should the fuel cost go up, it's just the opposite direction. You have 31% that would be negatively affected as opposed to 69% that would be positively affected.
So what you're saying is the $1,500 worst case scenario would be offset by energy savings on the 30.
It could
percent.
It could be. I don't have total numbers, but it would be impacted. How's that?
Okay.
I guess just to clarify for Grant County, we're talking about Grant County businesses, buildings, correct? Not Grant County?
No, all of the electricity provided to Grant County.
Grant County, the entity, not Grant County, the geographic area.
Correct.
That's
So
what
our operations.
Grant County government.
That's what I wanted to clarify, Grant County government, because when you say Grant County,
Correct.
people, just so they understand. Any other questions?
I do have some, and some, I have to admit, are just out of curiosity, they don't affect my vote. This is a voluntary solar renewable program.
That is correct.
As you mentioned. In my understanding of the requirements of the Energy Transition Act and the renewable portfolio standards within that act, they exclude voluntary programs from accounting for your percentage. Is that right?
That is correct. But we know as a company, in order for us to hit those goals that have been put in front of us, we have got to be able to help our customers, Grant County in particular at this moment, reach your goals. One of the reasons I was so excited to come and present this to the commission was because I know that whether it's stated or implied, renewable energy has been a very important part of this commission. So it is an opportunity, it is voluntary, and you are correct, it is outside of the requirements that we are going to have to meet.
So that you understand some of where I'm coming from. You perceive correctly that renewable energy and carbon-free energy are very important to me. But that's not in what I would call a feel-good sense. I don't just want to be able to tell my voters that we're purchasing clean solar energy from Rio Viva County. I would like to tell them that we're responsible for increasing the production of solar power overall. It's, I guess, my perception that participating in this project doesn't help that if the PRC approves it, you'll go ahead, you'll find customers, and that production will come online. Whereas if we really want to be leaders in this effort, we could, I believe, take steps to ensure increased production here in Grant County, which I believe would benefit us in many other ways. So just as a general overview of where I'm coming from, I wanted to make that statement. In this case, the Solar Direct program that you're presenting to us, the 50 megawatt facility will be located on land not owned by PNM?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that, because that was one of the issues that I was concerned about on Tuesday, and I really appreciate you looking that up. If you don't enter that process fully subscribed, we could subscribe later, correct?
No, I have to have an NOI from the county by the 24th of this month.
Or what, you won't be able to build a full 50 megawatts?
No, trust me, there are other people that want the subscription that's available. Okay. It's not a question of having it be fully subscribed. What the issue is whether you would like to participate in this program or not. This is a groundbreaking situation. It's something that PNM has never done before. I do not know what the future is going to hold. I don't know if there's going to be more opportunity going forward or not. But I make the commitment to you, as I have, since I started working with PNM, that I will get the information to you. I try to make sure that you have the opportunity to act on any programs that are available through PNM. And I would like to just say thank you to Charlene Webb for making sure that I got her the information that she needed in order to get it in front of you. So I make that commitment to you. I don't know that it's going to be available.
Perhaps I misunderstood on Tuesday. I thought you said you needed our NOI so you could go to the PRC with a more solid proposal.
That is correct, but the NOI would be a binding document.
But if we do not pass the NOI later, my original question was, could we not pass such a binding document? I'm sorry, if we don't pass it now, could we not pass such a binding document later? What I heard you say just now is, no, it will be fully subscribed, we will be out of the running.
Okay, so let me qualify what I said. The NOI would have to be done before the 24th. Whether that's today or next week is not a factor, okay? Yes, you could do it other than this meeting. But my issue is that I have to have all of this to the powers to be at P&M by the 24th of this month, because we're going to present it to the PRC on the 31st.
But you could present it not fully subscribed. Couldn't you present it and say, look, we've sold 40 megawatts, we've got commitments for 40 megawatts, and we expect to get the other 10, much like the wind energy proponents did with us.
Agreed. I would tell you that is not our intent. It is not our intent.
All right.
Your intent is to be fully subscribed?
When we go.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so you're going to find those customers?
We will be fully subscribed when we go.
Well, personally, I'm glad to hear that, because I do want to see this production.
Sure, and I understand that.
Well, I just wanted to clarify a conversation that we had. If we choose not to take our 150 kilowatts, you have someone else right behind us that will take that, and so in the future we would not be able to partake in this program. That was my understanding. I just want to clarify.
That's what I heard him say today. On Tuesday, I heard him say he wanted our participation because it would help them make their case to the PRC. If they will be fully subscribed, I suspect they don't really need our participation.
I just wanted to make sure I understand.
To make that case. Yeah, well, so did I. That's why I'm asking these questions. P&M has this ambitious goal of converting to carbon-free energy by 2035, I believe.
2040.
I thought the governor's goal was 2040, and you all announced that it
was 2045 originally, and he announced 2040.
Excellent. So that's a great goal. And it's my perception because of that goal that eventually we will be using renewable energy as long as we keep buying from P&M. So I don't think we're missing our chance to do that. Commissioner Salas on Tuesday mentioned the possibility of generating electricity and sending it from one place to other facilities, and you mentioned that current New Mexico law prohibits that, which is my understanding as well, if we're not an actual PRC licensed utility ourselves.
That is correct.
And my understanding is that HB 210, the Community Solar Act, would have changed that this last session. Are you familiar with that bill?
I am not, but that's out of my purview.
All right. So I think maybe my general point is going to be, as you noted, we don't know what the future holds. This is a really rapidly changing field. The economics of solar and wind have changed dramatically in the last 20 years. When I installed my first system, it was $5.25 a watt. When I installed my second system, we were down to about $1 a watt. And if I'd waited a few more years, it would have been about half $1 a watt. It's coming down dramatically. So my biggest concern about this is that we will be locking ourselves into a 15-year contract in a highly changing environment. I expect what was introduced as HB 210, the Community Solar Act, to pass. I also expect another bill that didn't pass, called the Local Energy Options Bill, eventually to pass, that will allow communities to purchase electricity from independent producers on an open market. And in those circumstances, my understanding from what I've seen is we could save about 40% compared to purchasing from the regulated utility that we currently purchase from. All of these things are things we should investigate, that I think we owe it to the county to do a thorough investigation of our options. Although you got the information to Ms. Webb in time for this meeting, certainly not in time to do a thorough investigation. And I urge my fellow commissioners to be patient, to do a careful analysis of our options and not to jump very quickly into this proposal.
May I respond?
Please do.
The only caveat that I would mention is that even though this will offset 69% of the energy you use, there's still 31% that would be there for the taking. Whatever proposals came along, if you wanted to change in the future, there's 31% of your production that you could still do a solar project with and have it be absolutely as beneficial as all of the things that you say. Again, we're talking about future. I am not a prognosticator. I can't make future predictions, but I know that going forward, what this will do is give you a hedge against future costs from P&M. And it is a 15-year commitment. I can't change that. That's the time frame it's going to take to recoup the cost of building the program. So that's where we're at. But it would not stop you from doing a solar project in the future.
Yeah, let me make one more point. At the end of those 15 years, of course, we don't have any actual assets, whereas if we build our own, at the end of paying them off, we will still own them. This is another reason why I support us looking at all of our options.
Mr. Chair. So I look at this as an opportunity to go solar, and that's the requirement now of the state legislature. And so if Grant County and all the other entities didn't sign on to this, New Mexico would be missing out on an opportunity, P&M, to build this plant. I think it gives us the opportunity to go solar without the upfront cost of $1 million+, without tearing up our parking lots and the construction mess over weeks and months, without poking holes in the roofs. And so my concern is on our own projects. I have a solar project at my house too, and it's out in the field, it's not in a parking lot. So I don't have to tear if I go to resurface a parking lot, which I don't have at my house, but if we go to resurface our parking lot out here and that structure stands in the way, that's a problem. We need to work on the roof, and that the solar's on all these roofs, potentially a lot of them are going to be brand new roofs. I just see some potential for problem there. I think there's probably also some potential, maybe, for some increased income to the county, but we also have roughly a third of our capability left with 30%. This is only tying up 69%. I'll be in favor of going forward with these resolutions.
Look, I want to echo some of Commissioner Brown's comments, because I do think the legislation is going to pass where it's going to facilitate communities to do some solar. And it's not going to be solar in the sense that it's individual buildings. I think it's going to be much like the plant that they say. And there's been other states that even on individual houses, if you produce more than what you use, the power company has to buy it back. So it's because they didn't pass this time, they're going to be included, and the costs are coming down. Solar and wind are making fantastic advances, and the advantage to get in on this, I think we really do need to do a good job of researching it and see, calling somebody before us and give us some really pertinent information. Now, because in the end, we could probably produce more than what we use and probably sell it back on the open market. So even if that 31% is taken in, then I think that legislation in New Mexico will allow us to put it back on the grid and sell it. Much like what they're going to do in Arriba County, because this is what other power companies do. They put their excess on the grid and it's sold. So, I really think, and I'm in big agreement with Mr. Brown on us researching. Okay, but this program right now does allow us to hedge, because it is going to be dealing with the power cost, the cost of the gas that's used to produce it. Now, many companies, such as UPS or whatever, they enter contracts for gallons. And most of the time, those prices go up. Just like, most of the energy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's produced is produced by natural gas.
A large portion, but there's other costs in there as well. There's nuclear fuel, there's coal, there's all of the different parts that go into creating electricity require fuel at this point.
Yeah. So the biggest one, and I don't foresee those prices going down. Especially in today's world environment. I really, think it's going to go up. Look at the price of gas. So, in the end, it would probably behoove us to enter a contract, knowing that there's going to be some relief, probably by legislation. And I really thought it was going to happen this year, because I thought they were going to mirror some programs that were happening, at least I know in California. That's my...
So, in your suggestion of research and, making a more considered decision based on that research, are you thinking about trying to do that between now and the 24th? Or
it's a longer project, right?
Longer.
We started on this path a couple of years ago.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify if you were talking about a week or longer term.
Longer term.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask one more question of Bruce, just to clarify for me. If I understood some of the language in the draft agreement, we have the ability to remove ourselves from this agreement, this 15-year agreement, if we are able to find another customer that would accept our allotment. Is that correct?
I am not that familiar with the agreement. I haven't actually sat down and looked at it in its entirety, but I can get an answer to you on that question.
So
I know there is a way for you to get out.
So that's what I understood from my review. But my question to you, if the county in the future decided to remove itself from this agreement, we found better sources, if you could look in your crystal ball, what do you think our opportunity would be to find another customer that would be willing to accept our subscription amount? Do you think that would be hard to do, or?
Well, as we've discussed here, I think the opportunities for solar and solar products and renewable energy going forward is going to become much more available. Obviously, anything that has prices going down is going to become more available. As far as finding somebody to take your subscription, I can't even hazard a guess on that. It would depend on the situation at that time. I don't know that it's going to be easy or if it would be difficult, but I do know what's happening is that there is more and more emphasis on this type of energy production going forward. More and more people want to participate. Some of them have the ability to participate on different levels. This is one that's absolutely low cost and gives you the ability to participate in a renewable energy production project, basically as low cost as it can be. So I don't know, but I would think that it would be possible.
So the thing that strikes me about that is that our capacity to do that would be impacted by the cost at the time, which could potentially be much less, leave us holding the bag. That's how I see
That's
that.
exactly what I believe will happen, because these independent power purchase agreements that are coming online are considerably cheaper than the utility agreements that are being offered. Once we have the ability to purchase from independent producers, this will be an expensive option, not a cheap option.
And I echo that concern. I think that we are, I commend PNM for offering this program, and I think it's a huge step forward for PNM, et cetera, et cetera. I also think that we're moving towards much less consolidated energy companies, that there will be multiple smaller organizations to buy power from, and that we will be stuck. That's my concern as well.
And on the onset, my concern is that we're not gonna get kilowatt hour relief. So we're gonna be paying what the cost is, and that cost could rise. And, the power company usually goes to the PRC and they seek, raises in what they charge us. So, and we're not freezing the kilowatt hour cost. The only thing we're freezing is the power usage, what it costs us for the fuel. Now, I sort of really think that in the future, and the very near future, we're going to have people out there that are going to be cutting the cost of the kilowatt hour. And so, unless we have a firm out, it's very questionable.
To me, I think, and I agree with what's being said, and I am for renewable energy. I see the bills are going to come up. I think right now, this is me to make an informed decision, and I know probably the commission don't want to hear this, but as far as maybe down the road, setting up another meeting and discussing this, but giving me an opportunity to be better informed. Looking at what is out there and do some more research on this before we commit to it. One of the biggest things that hasn't been answered is the out. What is the out? So that's a little concerning to me right now. I would like to see that we maybe, take, I know we have a meeting the 23rd. I'm not sure how that would work or what, but give us some time to research a little bit more and look at other avenues. I'm not sure, but those are my thoughts to this.
And I would really go with what you're saying, Chairman, and the thing is that we would have to task somebody to do a quick research on that. We would have to ask our PNM representative to come back to us so that we would know exactly what the out would be,
And I don't think that time frame is realistic for the complexity of this question. So I don't think we should shoot for the 23rd. I think that's noticed as just a budget hearing anyway. Is that correct? So that, I appreciate the idea that we could possibly do all this in time to meet their request, but I'm not sure that's realistic.
So I imagine what we have to consider is a now or never issue. So is the now worth it? Because we will get relief.
This is actually, I disagree it's now or never. On this specific one, it might be. But this is a pilot project, right? PNM has never done this before. As Mr. Ashburn has told us, the PRC has not even approved it yet, right? They have to go to the PRC and ask. I think we'll have a lot more information later. And I know that there's going to be a lot more pressure on PNM to bring more of these projects online. They have got to meet the renewable portfolio standards.
It just seems sort of ironic to me that with all the pressure being put on PNM, and then we're saying, the legislature is saying, do it, and we're saying, we're going to wait. But, I guess ultimately we have to do what's good for Grant County.
I appreciate that irony. That's exactly what I was going to say. I agree with you that it's ironic.
We have to do what's best for Grant County.
Exactly.
But, I just wonder if Manager Webb or Planning Director Large have anything to say to add to this discussion.
Can't put me on the spot. I guess I approached this when this was brought to us back in February, when we said yes, we had an interest. It was based upon this commission's interest for the last 2 or 3 years to look at the renewable energy, whether it's our own or whatever. I looked at this as it saved us the upfront capital, which we currently don't have the funding to do. As we looked at the project that we were looking at before, it was 40 years before it was paid off. This was a 15-year commitment, that, the chances of the fuel costs being that low, don't happen very often with our bills. I've seen our utility costs increase as it stands today over $1,500 a year. I looked at it as a cost savings measure. I didn't look at the 15-year commitment as an eternity. I thought that was somewhat, when I compared 15 years to 40 years of paying off capital plus the O&M burden that would be upon us, the training our staff, the additional equipment that we would have to maintain our own facilities. This was attractive to me, and that's why I chose to put it in front of you. Also knowing that as I looked at the numbers that Bruce presented, as the 69%, you still have that other 31% that's out there. I just thought that it was a way to save some utility costs that normally we wouldn't have that opportunity. I mean, we're at the mercy of what fuel's doing. We're at the mercy of PRC or whatever else is going on. I'm hesitant to put my faith in anything that's happening in the legislature in the last few years. I think that's a scary thought to say that, well, this is going to pass next year. We've been waiting for years for things to pass. So that makes me a little unsure, although I think that discussions are progressing that way. When is that going to happen? So those were my basic reasons for putting this in front of you. I don't know if you have anything to add.
So one thing that I'd like to have a little more conversation about, or a little more clarification on, is Commissioner Salas brought up the fact that this is about the fuel cost, not about the cost of the kilowatts. And so and maybe this is really a question for you, because I think you know more about this stuff than the rest of us do, but just so in your perspective of this, and we're clear that the savings is coming from the fuel cost. The production is coming from the fuel cost. So let me ask the question.
Okay.
The kilowatt cost could go up over the course of the 15 years, negating that savings?
No. One of the advantages to us of signing this contract is that it holds the per kilowatt hour charge constant. Is that correct? So this is about both things. This is about holding that kilowatt hour, that charge per kilowatt hour constant, and saving the fuel cost adjustment. Potentially saving it, right? Mr. Askren has presented the possibility that the fuel cost adjustment will actually come back to bite us and we'll lose money. But I happen to agree with you that the odds are we're going to save money. The odds are the cost of fuel stays high enough that our savings will come, by my calculations, roughly $5,000 a year savings on average, between the high of $7,000 and the low of losing money. It looks to me, based on usage and trends, that roughly $5,000 a year.
And so then what you're talking about in terms of costs going down over the 15 years, you're talking about the kilowatt cost would go down as other projects came on.
And this is sort of the irony. Here is offering us to keep our electric charges constant at a per kilowatt hour rate. Those of us who went through the 70s would never miss such an opportunity, right? We're used to the costs going up and up. I'm seeing a different scenario now. We're in a different world with energy where the costs are going down. And locking ourselves in now is a bad idea. This is a time when waiting will make sense financially, I believe. And I've talked to other people in the solar power industry quite a bit about this. Frankly, I think that's why TNM is offering us this deal, because they see the same future.
Mr. Chair, may I respond?
Yes, sir.
Again, the only thing that I can say in response to your comments, Commissioner, is that there's still 31% of the electric production for the county that can be taken advantage of, no matter which way it goes, whatever product happens to be the one that you would choose to go with in the future.
Clarifying question is, from Mr. Brown, so I just want to have it clear in my head. So this would lock in the kilowatt hour.
That is correct.
And what is a kilowatt hour right now, around 12 cents?
And it depends on how it's being used, Commissioner.
Yes, say residential, just or
What I can do is tell you that it ranges somewhere between 7 and 13 cents.
Okay, so we're probably at the high of 13, so that means we're locked in at that 13 cents, no matter what you go to the PRC for, rate adjustments, right? So
For the energy that's produced in this program, yes.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, so then, we know that energy production is about profit. You know, oil and gas companies, utilities, whoever is producing energy wants to make a profit, sometimes an obscene profit on the back of consumers. So how do you, in that context, how is it that you see the cost of power going down? Just that there will be more competition? I mean, don't you think at some point that, you know, the powers that be somewhere are going to make sure that the utilities and the big producers are protected?
I don't know if you remember the breakup of the phone companies, the phone company, right? We had one long-distance server back when,
right.
And competition was introduced. And I don't know if you've looked at your long-distance rates, but they're almost nothing now, right? It used to be I didn't call home from college because it was so expensive. So, you don't remember that? Wait a minute. It's kind of common to say things are just going to keep going up, but that's just not true, right? In some areas, especially in high-tech areas, costs actually come down. So the question is, how do we introduce competition into this previously non-competitive market? That's what the world is grappling with right now. Different states are trying different things. Those states that are allowing independent producers to sell directly to municipalities under contract are finding those contracts are about 40% less expensive than the utility contracts that they're taking over from. We're not doing that yet in New Mexico, but I think it's coming because the evidence from other states is pretty solid. There are all sorts of reasons I'm optimistic about energy in New Mexico, right? We have got tons of solar and wind potential. And right now, the projects that are going in, like the one we've approved in Grant County, they're exporting to Arizona, probably, right? They don't have final buyers yet, but that's probably where it's going. It's going to get easier and easier to put projects in here that produce for New Mexicans, I believe. And that's why I believe the price will be coming down.
So, and remind me, the details of the wind project. How many kilowatt, how many megawatts, what's the size?
It's a 400 megawatt project.
400 megawatt. And this is a 50 megawatt project.
No.
And the wind project is on how many acres?
11,000?
They haven't quite determined that. I remember 10,000 plus acres, but I don't know the answer.
10 or 11,000 is what I remember as well.
But it's not solidly covering the ground.
Right, they space them out.
Whereas with the solar project, it's going to be on 500 acres, and it's going to basically cover the whole 500 acres. Am I thinking about that correctly?
I don't know if Mr. Ashburn knows.
5 to 7 acres per kilowatt. So you're looking at 35 acres.
Per megawatt.
Or per megawatt, yes.
Yes, because I have 14 kilowatts on my roof.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Well, on the website, the PLM website says 500 acres.
Okay.
So that's, okay, all right. I'm done.
Okay. I'm still thinking. So there is an out if we have down the road we can.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to read it too.
I've read it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just read it. You have to pay.
Let's see. If we give 60 days notice of termination, we can get out. In the event of early termination, customer will be responsible for the net cost of the remaining renewable energy that was to be delivered to the customer during the remainder of the term. The net cost will be based on the time remaining in the term, the amount of estimated annual renewable energy to be generated by the solar facility, customer's renewable allocation factor, the difference between the contract rider rate and the forecast avoided fuel costs during the term, but in no event less than $0, plus customer's share of the administrative fee for the number of months remaining in the term. Customer will not be obligated to pay the early termination fee if another eligible customer fully subscribes to the customer's renewable energy subscription before the early termination effective date. It says that P&M could assist, but they don't have to.
In finding that customer?
Correct. So there's no free way of getting out, but you can get out. It's possible.
But you can't get paid to get out. That's what we might have noticed less than zero. And the reason they put that in there,
to be honest,
is to not only produce a negative number if the prices have gone down.
Commissioner Brown probably understands the terms of the fee, or the calculation of the fee, better than I do. I would need more time to truly understand what this cost would come out to. Based on the discussion today, it does not appear that these terms are negotiable, especially based on the timeline and the notice of intent. Although the word intent is in there, the actual terms of the notice of intent are a commitment to this agreement. So you should be aware of that.
And still, the thing about finding somebody to take it over would depend on what the cost of power is. So let's say in 7 years we were really wishing we didn't have this, but we could get, any customer could get power half as cheap, then the likelihood of finding somebody would
just as he says, you can't foresee what's going to happen. This may be a pretty bad deal down the road. Or I should not say a bad deal, but may not be as attractive because there are much better deals. But we don't know.
And on the other side of the coin, should fuel costs rise, as many of you have already stated, this could be a very good deal.
What we would be doing is betting. So it just depends on how lucky do you feel.
Well, may I respond real quick? Just my last comment. You are definitely hedging one way or the other. Okay, this is a hedge. The bottom line is what is the time value of $1 million worth to you? $1 million it can go to roads, $1 million it can be used for another purpose. What is the advantage of being able to advertise that Grant County is 69% renewable energy from the moment that this plant goes into inception? When it starts, you are 69% renewable energy production. So, as we go forward, all of these things are more and more important. Facebook would not have come to New Mexico if they could not have been 100% renewable. Do I think Facebook is going to relocate in Grant County? Well, I pray every night, but I don't think that's going to happen. I do think it's going to be much, much more important for even small companies as we go forward to know that the energy they're using is generated through renewable sources. So that's my last spiel, and you guys have to make the decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Oh, may I just say one other thing? I just want to commend you guys for taking the time to investigate this as thoroughly as you have. I want to say that. And the other thing I would like to say is a few months ago, you guys recognized the lineman from P&M. And I just wanted to let you know that today is P&M's day of service. Half of the crew is at Bill Evans Lake picking up trash and cleaning up the area, and the other half is at El Refugio doing a painting project. So those are the people that you guys commended, and yes, I'm partial. I think they're pretty good people. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank them for their service.
Mr. Chair, so go ahead, Commissioner. How many members?
So now I might have forgotten the question because I was thinking about those great linemen out there doing all that cool work.
We're just hoping the lines don't go down in the meantime.
Right. So, I think all the points that Mr. Ashburn made in his final comment about, what is the $1 million worth, what is the upfront capital cost worth, those kinds of things, are important things to think about. But I also think that we have to think about the possibility that they're not the only deal that won't have capital costs involved, because isn't that also one of the things that is characteristic of, I've been approached to put solar on my house by companies that will front all that cost. We have been approached by companies that are willing to do that. And so I think, while the point is well made, I also think that this isn't going to be the only opportunity we'll have. And while I'm saying that, I also want to just take a moment to thank the county manager for bringing this to us, regardless of what we do with it. This is a conversation that we've been having for a long time, and I appreciate the opportunity to consider all the possibilities that are out there.
Mr. Chair, for the purpose of further discussion and decision, I move that we approve the notice of intent for P&M Solar Direct Program.
Motion by Commissioner Boyd. You have a second?
Well, this is a tough one. Again, I think we're betting on the future. And it's how do you think the future's going to go? And, but I'll second it.
You have a second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion?
No, but I want 5 minutes to think. This is like one of those things that we're talking about that, it's going to happen really fast. I want to think about everything that we've heard.
So then I ask for a 5-minute break.
Thank you. Yes, a 5-minute recess, please.
And we have a motion on the floor. We'll take a 5-minute recess and think about this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Back to order. Back in session, I guess. So, we had if I'm correct, we had a motion by Commissioner Billings, we had a second by Commissioner Salas, and we're now in discussion. Correct?
Correct. So, Mr. Chair, that little walk around brought 2 more questions to my mind. The first one is, what happens to this deal? And this question, I think, would be to Mr. Ashburn. What happens if there is a lawsuit filed against P&M for the same practices for this bid as the one that is currently before the Supreme Court, and it takes, 5 years to resolve it, or something like that? Then what's the out?
Those are questions that are above me, but I will tell you that we've done everything in our power to ensure that this bidding practice is, widely used, and the bidding time was extended. So I know that. I can get you more information on that if you want, but obviously if we can't produce power, the contract would be null and void.
Okay. So then my second question is, am I correct when I say that the county has not set any goals about our renewable energy? Like, we don't have, like P&M is saying, we have to have this by 2030, that by 2025. So where I'm really headed with this is, as has been said over and over and over again, it leaves us with 31% to address. And if I were to actually consider voting yay on this motion, I would want to know that in the next month or 2, that we would actually, and I'm basically saying this to my fellow commissioners, that I would want for us to actually get something on paper about our goals for what we are going to do with the other 31%. And maybe it's as simple as saying that we will be 100% renewable by 2030, or whatever seems normal. And obviously it would, require additional discussion. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we actually have a plan for what we're going to do with that other 31%.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need to if we go this route, we need to sit down and look at
what we can do with that. I think that's a great idea.
Well, as to what we can do with the 30%, 31%, if we do approve this deal now, it may be at some point in the future, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, before we want to, because things may change.
Understood.
31%, that could be part of that discussion.
That would be part of that discussion for sure.
You know, I would like to see us get some information from some of these independent producers. I know when we were in Santa Fe, you were probably approached by some people also that were into solar and wind energy. So I would maybe like to talk to someone, or maybe have somebody make a presentation to us. So at least we know, what's in the works right now. Because I really think that in the future, solar, right now, the production of solar, they're making great advances in the production of solar. Okay, what has not reached to that level is the storage, batteries, or whatever it's going to be. And wind energy. Wind energy is at a constant. It just depends on the wind. So, but we have great places here in Grand County. My hopes would be that at some point in time, we can not only serve the county entity, but the county as a whole. Mm-hmm. Because there's others, I've read of others places that what they've done is they serve the people as a whole. And some cities, they contracted to have primary metering, so they're responsible for that stuff, but they control what's going on in the city. And I in the future, I foresee that even there's a possibility there.
One of the things that is actually a real sticking point for me on this is that the concept of energy independence. And that is something that we don't have the luxury of with fossil fuels. It's controlled very tightly by a very small number of people producing it, and one of the advantages I see of solar and wind is energy independence for smaller entities, whether those entities be counties or cities or states or anything. And with all due respect, Mr. Ashburn, what we are doing at some level is perpetuating PNM's ability to control energy, the source of energy in the state by doing this. Just say it.
If I might add a comment. When Commissioner Edwards requested the 5 minutes to think, I was all of a sudden reminded of 1991, which is when my wife and I bought our first new car. And my father had passed on by that time, but her father was alive and lived near us, and offered wise counsel, which was, when you go to the car dealer, they're going to make you a great deal. Don't take it on the spot. Walk away. Take an extra week. Compare offers. And then go back. And that saved us $300, which to us at the time was quite a savings. We were quite happy for that advice, even though we both wanted to sign for that first car. That's what it felt like when you said you need 5 minutes to make a 15-year commitment. There's just something wrong with that. And it may not be the fault of PNM. The timing is this. I'm not suggesting that it is. But I believe it's our fault if we rush to a decision that binds us for 15 years.
We're going to talk about long distance phone.
That was the 1970s and 80s.
Looking at this whole picture and looking at what, the town of Silver has done, Western, City of Deming, or County of Deming, I'm trying to get some thinking out loud here. That we do have it now. It's a difficult decision for sure. So, is there any further discussion? So we have a motion. Motion was believed to approve notice of intent for PNM Solar Program, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
Okay, so I guess I call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye. Can I raise my hand halfway? Well, I hope I'm not making a mistake, but I go aye.
I'm going to vote nay.
Nay.
I'm gonna go aye for now.
What is for now mean for
Vote again in 15 years?
Bring it back up and here soon and see what happens. And then,
Well, I'm making a returns. It's a
15
made a
years?
binding commitment.
I understand that.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, my biggest thing here is you understand what I'm looking at is the other entities that have gone through this, you know, as a part of it, you know, consideration of Grant County, looking at the 31%, you know, Commissioner brought up a good point about setting goals and looking at them. We do have them now. The cost, I'm not sure. And then here in the near future, you know, what is the cost going to be to Grant County in the millions to do this? And I think for right now, that's the best decision that I can make for Grant County. And that's my honest opinion on this.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, I would just like to thank Bruce for all of the information that you shared with us, and I appreciate that PNM is headed in this direction. I sincerely do. I appreciate everything that you do for this community, and I just want to say that I really appreciate this conversation. I think that these kinds of conversations are critically important to the decision-making process that we have to go through as commissioners, and I appreciate very much that we are able to have conversations like this on the dais.
Thanks, I was thinking the same thing. Thanks for the discussion. Motion passed, right?
Motion carried.
So I can tell this story now. My dad has been a pretty good investor and a pretty good mentor for me, but he bought solar panels 8 or 10 or a dozen years ago as an investment, and he used some of them and he stored some of them, and yeah, they're worth a small fraction, as you can imagine what they cost. So I appreciate Commissioner Brown's discussion. I don't think this is a bad deal. Will a better deal come down the road later? Well, we still got that one 31%, so we can dig up the parking lots and poke holes in the roof at that time. So.
And I also appreciate Commissioner Brown, that's wealth of knowledge in that area. I've learned a lot. Thank you, Commissioner Edwards, and the discussion that we've had. So I appreciate that. So we're going to go to the next item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so under new business item H, Grant County Surveillance Program update by Mr. Joe Giulisti.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is Sylvia Zapata. She also works hand in hand with me with the Grant County.
Good morning. Hear you at all. It is on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so I work for the Grant County 6th Judicial District for Drug Court and Surveillance Program, which now we moved into a pre-trial service program. Before in the past, it was basically a money-based system to release inmates from detention, whether they were able to afford, and due to bill reforms, now we're moving from that aspect of basically a money-based system, evidence of risk-based system of release and detention, and just further literature issuance in July 2017, the Supreme Court on recommendations of a court-based bail reform committee. The court rules to enforce the mandates a new constitutional amendment, better protect public safety and improve equal protection of the law. No person eligible for pretrial release pursuant to this section shall be detained solely because financial liability to post money or property bond. That being said, we started on April 8th of this year with the pretrial service program, And with that being said, we're in close correlation with the Grant County Detention Center, who also helps us determine who's going to be, or who comes in on a daily basis with felony charges, warrants, failure to appear that are felon basically based. So we go in and we do an intake on these individuals and these defendants, and we actually, on the intake, we gather information that deals with who's the caregiver of the children, where they live, where they're able to be released, so that there could be a determination by the judge on who to release to. We do verify everybody that all the information that they give us from, like I said, who's the caregiver of their children, if they're employed, if they're unemployed, if they do have a place to go, if they're released, if they don't, then where would they be staying? And then after all that's gathered, we do a criminal background check on all our defendants with that and everything that they told us. We call everybody, we verify to make sure everything's correct. If they falsify anything, then it could be used against them, basically, depending on the release of the judge. So at that point, we basically score them from a level 1 through a 5. 1 being the least supervised and 5 being the most supervised. If they go above a 5, basically they're not recommended for pretrial services due to the nature of the crime or crimes that they have committed in the past. So with that being said, we basically score them off the assessment, and then we make a recommendation to the judges on whether what we saw or what we dug up, or if they're eligible for the pretrial service program. And from there, the judge will give a referral, giving a recommendation with the level of supervision on how you take care of the defendants, whether it be with GPS, drug testing, or just surveillance, or maybe all three of them, depending on the nature of the crimes that they've committed in the past and what's occurred. With that, I'll leave it with Sylvia to talk about some of the
steps. Okay, so we currently have 32 clients total. That includes our drug court clients. We have 14 on GPS that are surveilled on a daily basis, and those are also drug tested at least 3 to 4 times per week. So, and our numbers change daily as they go to court, or we get new clients. Some are released, and so they are no longer in the program. And that's what our numbers are constantly changing. So, and we foresee a lot more clients coming on this new program. So. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, I'm here to give you just a brief summary of the participation of the Grant County Detention Center in this particular program. And I'd like to refer back to a couple of months ago, Commissioner Brown. He had asked me if we had a number of inmates who were not showing up for court. We're having a number of warrants, and I did agree with you that a large number of the warrants that we do have at the detention center are because of failure to appear, failure to comply with conditions. As a result of that, I partnered up with Rachel Pels from Deming, because they had that program going up there to try and I know you had asked me if there was any programs that you knew I was aware of, and in talking with her, this program pretty much parallels the program that I'd explained to you about. It was being conducted at the Bernalillo Metro, which they're doing case management in the same way that the adult drug court is doing now, and they were doing the same thing in Deming. So I thought it would be a win-win and a fit-in for the issues that you had concerns with, addressing, making sure they're going to court, and putting them on a break, start getting them out of jail, and them doing the follow-up. The other thing that I'd like to make you aware of is the fact that when I talked to Rachel Pels and I met with all of them, we were sitting down and I asked them to also contact CareLinks as part of the kind of a aftercare portion of this program, because I know that Bernalillo Metro was also doing the housing portion of it, the job portion of also a part of that release program. So I asked them if they would incorporate that, or at least contact CareLinks and bring them into an additional part of not only just the release program, but also when the inmates are out, looking at possibly providing them either housing or I also informed them of Mr. Villalobos in the Workforce Solutions. So we're trying to bring that whole case management process into this particular program, along with all the programming that Manager Webb is doing with the Stepping Up. And I also asked them just a little while ago if they could provide the Manager Webb with a number of individuals that they are seeing at the detention center and the number of them that are coming out, and provide her monthly with that information also, because she's doing a great job and she's working very hard to help us bring everybody together and bring all the programming together. So that's a brief summary of what we're participating in at the detention center, and I'd like to thank the Adult Drug Court for their monitoring and for bringing us in and making us a part of their program.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for all that work.
On that note, too, Mr. Carrillo mentioned drug court. The pretrial services division will be under the umbrella of the drug court program in district court.
I do have a question, though. In the spotlight right now is what happened in Albuquerque, a shooting death of a UNM baseball player by somebody that was out on release. So I just was wondering, what would be an example of somebody that would be level 5 that wouldn't be released back onto the public? Because we do have gun violence in our county.
So a level 5 person would be released. It's beyond that, that we would make a determination. We would make a recommendation that they are not acceptable for a pretrial release if we had someone who has a very criminal background, extent of a background, or their current charges are, something like that, a shooting or something to that effect. And in the end, it is the judge's decision. We just make a recommendation. We do all the footwork, basically, by checking their backgrounds. Do they get to court? Do they have failures to comply? We check all that for the judge. We make a recommendation on what we find, and then it's up to the judge. But the ultimate, but the level 5 in our program would be, they get seen almost every night by surveillance. They are on a GPS so we can track them. They are on house arrest normally. They can't go anywhere. They have to request to go anywhere, to the doctor, to groceries, to anything. They have to turn in a request to us. We then forward it to the district attorney or to the magistrate judge if they haven't been bound over to district court, and then they give them the permission. We in turn say, okay, you can go, and they have to do that 48 hours in advance unless they have a serious emergency. And basically we tell them has to be an emergency room or the morgue. You can't go anywhere without, permission, basically. So, and they would also get, they would also get drug tested, drug and alcohol tested, but that would determine the nature of their crime and their, if they have a history of substance abuse.
Also respond. Also, in regards to that, the judge also does an intense background check, and she'll put their past criminal history, failure to appear, whether they're violent in nature, also from misdemeanors, and she'll do Arizona, New Mexico, and then she has, or Texas, and she'll put that on her recommendation too. on her referral saying that this person poses this, make sure to monitor this way or that way, or sometimes she'll up their bond and they won't be released until they pay some kind of surety bond of either 10% or 100%.
Do we have any other questions? No, thank you for what you guys do, appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So moving to the next item on the agenda, consideration of the delinquent solid waste account subject to lien. Mr. Martinez? No? Okay, let's move on.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the delinquent solid waste account subject to lien.
I'll second that. And I have a question, now that it's moved and seconded. Have there been any changes in this list in the last couple of days?
Just about 5 or 6 of the accounts need to be pulled out because they have made payments on it. They paid it in full.
And so how do we manage that?
So, Mr. Chair, I'll amend my motion to be, I move that we approve the delinquent solid waste account subject to lien as presented, except for the ones that have been paid since we viewed this list on Tuesday.
Well, they're only subject to lien if they haven't paid. So those who have paid are no longer subject to lien. So I think the item is...
So even if we approve them,
you're only...
Mr. Martinez pulls them, it's no harm
They're
done.
not subject to lien.
Okay. That works for me.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the delinquent solid waste accounts that are currently subject to lien.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Commissioner Billings. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. How much of that time, the list is lengthy. How much of that time, of your time does that take to deal with those? I realize you get a $25 processing fee, but that seems pretty minimal.
It's quite an extensive, I research them, it starts out as a list of about 200, and then I do extensive research, make sure that we have the correct mailing address, that everything coincides with the assessor's records, and if there, if there is any specific reason why not to put a lien on these accounts.
Okay.
So yes, I do research them a lot and send out certified lien letters.
Well, I didn't go through them all, but the first 5 or 7 people I saw in there that I know have really good jobs, so I think it's just an oversight.
I had the same reaction.
I was thinking, wow, some of these have really, anyhow, maybe they have to be charged $100, but I realize there's some people that are in different circumstances.
Right.
Okay.
I did have a conversation along these lines, and I wonder if we shouldn't consider, maybe you can bring this to us later, a repeat offender fine, right? If it's a one-time thing, a minimal fine seems appropriate. If they're doing it year after year, which I believe you told me is the case in some of these cases.
There's some accounts that they come up every year.
I think it would be appropriate to remove whatever they think is the financial incentive to wait to the end and have a larger fee for repeat offenders.
I would welcome any draft you want to throw my way, because I am looking at the solid waste ordinance now, because as you know, our tipping fees are going up and we need to look at what we're charging. Probably need to increase that to cover our costs, and so I'm looking at all aspects of that ordinance. So any thought language you would like to send my way would be much appreciated.
Okay. Would other commissioners welcome an idea along those lines?
Sure. I probably need to finish reviewing the list to make sure my name's on it.
I didn't say that. And, I have a second question. How much of this money do you end up recovering, do you estimate?
It's hard to say. I know that I'm constantly, even for prior years, getting payment on liens. But yeah, well, I send out about 200 letters, and I'm only gonna file probably like 90 some actual liens.
But I guess my question is, even once you file the lien, there's no guarantee we're gonna get any money because the person might not sell for decades.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Brown, I think I can kind of answer that because anytime someone pays this, then he submits to me for my signature that we release that lien, and I probably sign an average of 2 to 3 a week. At least 2.
Well, that's almost all of it.
Sometimes there's a maximum in that, but I would say on average, if you average it across the year, probably 2 a week, wouldn't you say?
I would think so.
That you send to me for...
Yeah.
That's great.
So it gets some people's attention, but the overall scheme of all the years and all of the liens that you've placed here, I don't know what that percentage would be, but I do sign quite a few releases.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that we have to consider is that anybody's trying to get a tax release for a mobile home, for example, they have to pay that. And that's part of our process when we're doing tax releases with the assessor's office. So that's where a lot of this, if somebody's trying to transfer the property or whatever, and there's that lien, and that's why it's necessary, that's when we get them collected. So there are a few that come in on their own, but it's usually when they're trying to dispose or transfer the property, and that's...
Yeah, a lot of times the title companies call me and get amounts on solid waste account. What needs to be paid through that current month of sale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. Moving on to the next item, J, consideration of inventory deletions and transfers.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the inventory transfers and deletions as outlined in the memorandum.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item K, appointment of shooting range members.
Mr. Chair,
I think on this one, it's my understanding this will be for a 2-year term, if we decide to go that route.
That was the request of the current board. There's 4 vacancies, 2 that are 2-year terms, 2 that are 1-year terms, and they requested that you consider these 2 individuals for the 2-year terms. Then we will advertise based on what you do today for the remaining vacancies. But that was their request.
Okay, so the remaining vacancies will be a 1-year term?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted you to be aware of that.
I move that we accept as per the request for 2-year term, Dean Foster and Robert L. Love II.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, appointment of complete count committee members.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the complete count committee members that have been recommended to us. That is Misty Pugmire, Johanna Bencomo, Dan Otero, Jesse Bustamante. As an alternate, Bobby Marquez. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Bobby Marquez as a full member. As an alternate, Tanya Otis.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item M, canvass of Silver Consolidated School District's 2019 special all-mail election.
Chairman, members of the board, so in front of you, you have the canvas for the Silver Consolidated School District special all-mail-out election. The questions did pass. Results were we had 2,660 voters that voted for. We had 1,771 that voted against. For this election and for the Silver District, we had a total of 14,553 registered voters. So that brought us a little right under about a 31% voter participation.
How does that compare to the last one?
Actually, excellent. The last one that we compared to was we had a school board election in 2017. Back then, we had a total of, let's see here, 17,175 registered voters in the Silver District. Out of that, we had 1,245 people that voted. That was about a 7.25% voter participation. So, and that includes early, absentee, and election day. So this was an all-mail out, and we were way over in participation.
It's interesting to note, I don't know if you heard in those figures, the decline in registered voters from 17.2 to 14.5 or so in just 2 years. It's pretty remarkable.
It is remarkable.
And still, to me, it seems like, and I'm just shooting from the hip here, it seems like that's a high number of registered voters for the Silver District.
It's the full, it's again, we, in 2017, we had over 17,000. It actually declined quite a bit.
That just seems like a huge percentage of the population.
For the district, yeah.
The enrollment numbers are roughly 2 to 1. Right, Silver is about 2,500 and Cobra is about 1,300. If that reflects registered voter ratio, then we'd be looking at about 8,000. And, well, yeah, so 15,000 in Silver, roughly 8,000 in Cobra, 22,000. Seems about right, doesn't it, for a population of 29,000?
Is that what our population is?
Actually, our population is about 27,200 right now.
I was thinking, it's gone down.
It's gone down quite a bit.
There's lots of children in there. Anyhow, okay.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting number.
Was that because of a purge, or they just?
It may. The decline maybe we just went through a purge, but I don't think that it affected that much. I think it's just a decline from the years to now.
Do you know how many people you purged?
Do you have a number off the top of your head? I can get you that now. We just did it, and I apologize. I have all these numbers in my head, and I can't think of those numbers.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, and again, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Oh, and I'd also like to thank the election board. They were excellent. With all these being an all-mail, it's a lot of work. There's a process to this. And they were done by about 7:15 and on their way home by 7:20 on election day. So that was great. And of course, the staff worked very hard. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for the attorney that I should have asked before, and I apologize to put you on the spot. My employer will directly benefit from this having passed. In my mind, approving a canvas isn't really a conflict, but I'm happy to abstain if that's your advice.
Mr. Chairman, I am understanding the conflict. I'm sorry, Mr.
Well, approving this canvas presumably makes it formal, which means that the mill levy goes into effect, which means my employer gets about $50,000 a year extra.
To be cautious, I think it's fine for you to recuse yourself.
I will be doing so then. Thank you.
If I had more time, I could give you a, more educated answer.
Okay. Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot.
They have to look at the content act, you can examine it.
Don't do that.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the canvass of the Silver Consolidated School District 2019 special all-male candidate election. We still have females though this time.
Right.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Billings and second by Commissioner Lewis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Abstain. Commissioner Brown abstain. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, agreements. Item N on the agenda, consideration of agreement number 8-19-17, Stone Garden, Operation Stone Garden.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve agreement number A-19-17.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item O, consideration of agreement number 819-19 to services NEMET.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve agreement number A1919.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item P, consideration of agreement number 819-20, capital appropriation agreement.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve agreement number A19-20.
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Commissioner Billings. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Q, consideration of agreement A19-21, capital appropriation from New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve agreement A1921, which will help the Sheriff's Department buy some vehicles.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item R, consideration of agreement number 8-19-22.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve A1922 for the plan, design, construct, and renovation roof repair of this building.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to resolutions. S, consideration of resolution number R-19-30, county travel policy and procedures.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R19-30.
I second that motion, and my recollection is, the change here is that we no longer need to approve out-of-state travel. That's on you. Will you continue to report to us on travel, or will that only be visible in the expenditure reports?
It would be visible in the expenditure reports, but if you would like me to compile a report of out-of-state travel, I could do that.
How burdensome would that be?
I wouldn't consider it burdensome at all. I think I would put that off on the accounting specialist who pays the bills and actually processes those, and just have them keep a monthly tally.
I'd like to have some sense of whether we're going out of state or
on a
not.
monthly basis, if that's okay.
Thank you, that sounds perfect.
Thank you, Chris.
Of course. I think it's been moved and seconded, yes?
Yes, we've got Mr. Commissioner Edwards, and you have seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. T, consideration of resolution number R-19-31.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R19-31.
Second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We're up to U, consideration of resolution R-19-32.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R19-32.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Salas. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, sorry.
I was reading it.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. V, consideration of resolution R-19-33.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution R-1933.
Second it.
It's been a second by Commissioner Edwards. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. W, to be consideration of resolution R-19-34, Open Meetings Act.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve R19-34.
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Brown. All those,
And again,
discussion?
just for the public, some people are watching, this will change our schedule to have 2 regular meetings and 2 work sessions per month.
June.
It's starting in June, that's correct.
With a time limit, right?
It's up to our chair.
Never mind, I'll consider. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, motion carries. Okay, moving on to the next, bids and requests for proposals of RFP. Item X, award reject bid number B-19-4, Rosedale Road Improvements Phase 2.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve B-1904.
I'll second that motion as recommended by our staff. And congratulations on the very large difference between engineer's cost and bid cost. I don't know what accounts for that, but it's good news.
We have first and second, and do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, recess of Grant County Board of Commissioners and convene as Grant County Healthcare Claims Board.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recess and convene. Recess as Grant County Board of Commissioners, convene as the Grant County Healthcare Claims Board.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Billings. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so under that, we're going to go to Y. There you go. Forget it's back there. I heard it. So under that, we're going to go to consideration of February 2019 health plan claims in the amount of $74,274.48.
You have something to say?
Would you like me to read the recommendation again? Because that's not the amount we want to do. I mean, they won't stumble through it so bad today. We are recommending 11 claims to Gila Regional Medical Center in the amount of $29,376.94. And recommending approval of 7 claims to Gila Regional Ambulance in the amount of $1,418 for a total of $30,794.94.
Can you repeat that amount, please?
$30,794.94.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve health plan claims in the amount of $30,794.94 as amended from the agenda amount by the county manager.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Billings seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So, item Z, consideration of April 2019 health plan claims in the amount of $31,460.49. Did that change also? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we are recommending approval of 1 claim to Gila Regional Medical Center in the amount of $5,962.50, and approval of 1 claim to Gila Regional Medical Center Ambulance in the amount of $709 for a total amount of $6,671.50.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the health plan claims in the amount of $6,671.50 as recommended by management for April.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? See no discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn this Grant County Healthcare Claims Board and reconvene as the Grant County Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, Commissioner's reports. Commissioner Brown, do you have any reports?
Yeah, a few. And in the spirit of, letting my fellow commissioners know what happens on some of these committees, the Southwest Solid Waste Authority meeting, we found out that the authority applied for and received a grant of something like $220,000 to buy a tire shredder. And they deserve kudos for pursuing this. It will allow us to turn some of our tires, waste tires that are brought to the landfill, into cover material, which will reduce the amount that we have to dig up elsewhere and use as cover material. I believe it will reduce the number of tires we have to take to Denver City, where we currently take them. We'll still have to take some there, apparently, but it will reduce that. And I don't know if you all know what happens to our tires, but they get taken there. We don't get any money for them, but on the other hand, we don't have to pay for them to be disposed of because that facility reprocesses them somehow and uses them. So all that happened, and there will be a new grader out there also. So actually, they're in great shape there at Southwest, the landfill, because they've got a lot of new equipment now coming in. So they've done a really good job. I wanted to mention that we are very soon going to be advertising the positions on the Gila Regional Medical Center Board, and this is more for the public than for you. We encourage people who are interested in serving on that board to submit their applications, a letter of interest, curriculum vitae, and references. So that notice will be published soon. I want to thank the voters, as others have, for passing the mill levy. I'm glad to see that Grant County supports public education. I wanted to let you all know there may be a road project recommended in the future on Ridge Road. That road, as I understand it, and this was pointed out to me by a resident along that road, should be 24 feet wide. I went out and joined the resident. I measured the road in 4 different places. In no place did it exceed 21 inches, feet wide. These are not matchbox trucks. These are dump trucks that travel that road. So it's too short. And the gentleman's an elderly gentleman, as are others who live out in that area. The dump trucks barely fit in the lane, and apparently it's a scary driving experience sometimes. So I've asked Earl to look into what it would take to make those regulation, and he's doing that.
What road is that?
Ridge Road.
Oh.
So it's the road that goes, within the city, it's fine. I measured it in the city as well. Within the city, it's 24 feet. As you cross the line, it gets thinner. So that might come your way. And last, I wanted to bring this up. I don't know when would be the right time for this, but as a result of the visioning session where we talked about what to do with the old detention center, and as a result of the Aldo Leopold YCC crews work on trails on Boston Hill, it's come to my attention that there's a segment of county-owned property on Boston Hill that, in my mind, is irrationally owned by the county, that it would be better to consolidate public ownership of that segment in the city, which operates, of course, the whole Boston Hill trail system, and keep the county out of it. So at some point I'm going to ask for some kind of a parcel adjustment, and for the commission's permission to just give that portion to the city. We're not giving it to a private entity. In my mind, we're just rationalizing ownership so that all of Boston Hill can be planned with, city ownership. And we would keep the portion of the parcel that pertains to the courthouse and the old detention center. The exact acreages I'm not sure of, but they will end up being something like 12 acres and 3 or 4 acres, something like that. Just wanted to mention that during my comments period. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Edwards?
So, I actually have been in conversation with the county manager about that same parcel and doing the same thing. So when it comes time, just so you know, I will be in support of that. There's something else you said that I did want to reiterate about asking the public to please, if you're interested, apply for the open trustees positions. I am on the TUCASA Advisory Board. I did mention this on Tuesday, but I think it's worth mentioning again. HMS did receive Crisis Triage Center licensure for TUCASA, meaning that TUCASA will now be able to go forward in serving the county 24/7, 7 days a week. Finally, I want to talk about, yes, I'm going to talk about the hospital some more. I just wanted to, I have some comments to make. In the last couple of months, I think I have questioned the hospital a fair amount up here during their reports, and have been thinking a lot about the hospital recently, and just want to share with the public some of what I am thinking about. 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago, the commission set out on a process to look at if there were options for the ownership of the hospital, what that impact would be on the county and the public, et cetera, et cetera. I think we spent a great deal of time on that process. And just about a year ago, a little under a year, we voted to remain a county-owned hospital. Since then, there are definitely some good things that have happened. One of them being a dramatic improvement in the quality of the financial reporting to the commission, which I think reflects Mr. Stokes doing exactly as he said, which is looking under every rock for money. And I just want to express my thanks to him and all of the other folks who have clearly done an incredible amount of work on improving the revenue cycle at the hospital, which was obviously something that needed some serious attention. However, I think some really big questions remain. There is evidence, I believe, that the Board of Trustees is doing very little to hold the administration responsible for the strategic plan that was presented to the Commission as part of their plan to convince us that the hospital should remain county-owned. I think it seems as if there is no accountability around some basic business planning, and I am specifically referring to off-site clinics, and it seems as though there is very little general accountability and examining of benchmarks, all focused around the strategic plan. It seems, I see that there is very little evidence that the Board of Trustees is holding the administration responsible for strategic collaborative partnerships with other providers in our community. In fact, it would appear that there is a distinct mindset of fierce competition between the hospital and local providers, and personally, I do not think that that is conducive to a healthy healthcare system in Grant County. There have been persistent rumors for quite a while, and some of the discussion on Tuesday was that this came out only with the letter to the governor, but I disagree with that. These rumors have been persistent for quite a long time. I think that perhaps the letter to the governor actually brought more attention to them. The rumors are about closing labor and delivery services, behavioral health services, and EMS services. On Tuesday, I asked for those rumors to be dispelled, and while the CEO did a fine job of talking about how important those services were to this community, I believe that she also left the door open for examining of closing those services. And in fact, made it a point to mention that OB can be a service line in a provider-owned clinic setting. Her comments, although I know that they were meant to reassure the Commission, they were not reassuring to me. Another concern I have is an incredible amount of turnover at the hospital. One of the things that we talked about many times in the process that the community made very, very clear to the Commission was that a big part of the expression of being a county-owned hospital was that there were people from this community employed at that hospital who had been employed there for many years, and that that was a big part of being a community-owned hospital. There are currently 76 openings according to the GRMC website that I looked at this morning. There are currently 76 openings, and what I find actually very alarming is the number of those openings that are director positions. According to the website this morning, the Director of Patient Financial Services is open, the Director of Perioperative Services is open, the Director of Emergency Services is open, the Director of the Hospital Foundation is open, the Director of Case Management is open, the CMO position is open, the Clinical Pharmacist Manager position is open, and as we just learned, the Director of Maternal Child Health position is open. There are also many other openings directly having to do with patient care services. I'm very concerned about this. Additionally, I recently discovered that, a year ago in 2017, GRMC's leapfrog quality score was an A. It was recently announced that that score has gone from an A to a C. I bring these things up because when we voted to remain a county-owned hospital, one of the things that we talked about extensively was the community responsibility towards remaining a community-owned, county-owned hospital. And that responsibility was to ensure that the hospital and the operations of the hospital that there is accountability to this community. And I think the things that I have outlined are indications that there may not be as much accountability as is appropriate. And I think the community needs to be aware of that. I have the sense that what has happened over the last year is that once we voted to remain a county-owned hospital, the issue just kind of went away. And that is not true. This community relies very heavily on that hospital for many things, and I don't think I need to go into all of the reasons why that hospital is critical to the financial and health well-being of this community. This is part of the call for applications to trustees. One of the things that we talked about a year ago was how important it was for the community to support the hospital in terms of being willing to serve on the Board of Trustees. We know absolutely that the job of being a trustee is not easy, and our trustees, I think, have had and continue to have a very difficult task in front of them. But clearly, accountability is something that needs to be paid attention to. So, I guess my closing thought on that will just be that we have to continue to keep an eye on what's happening at the hospital, and that is the responsibility of every single person who lives in this county, including the commissioners, county staff, elected officials, residents, Board of Trustees, and hospital employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. Thank you, Commissioner Brown, for your report. Go ahead, Commissioner Brown, go ahead and give your report.
Well, in light of Commissioner Edwards' comments, I want to say that she raises some very pertinent questions and points. So I'm thinking, would it be appropriate to ask for your comments in writing? Not to pin you to anything, but to, I think this needs to start being a discussion now. Maybe we would even consider, this is public information now, the Board of Trustees and administration, would you be open to them having a copy of that so that they can start considering this, start addressing it, start answering it, start
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. I think that's a good start since they're not here. Further, let's see. I had some other stuff, but it's not pertinent. I guess just really quickly, not to waste anybody's time, I apologize and regret the remarks I made earlier in the joke. I just meant to make a funny joke. Now I realize that I made an inappropriate statement about, I really don't want to bring it up anymore, further embarrassment, but I said we still let women vote here, something. We don't let women vote. Women have the full right to vote, and I regret the inappropriate remarks. I was just trying to make a joke, so sorry.
It was an all-male election. I thought it was okay.
Well.
Just to provide you some background.
She's going to say, you let us vote? Moving right along.
No, but, is that it for you?
Yes.
Before I get to Mr. Salas, because I'm not sure where you're at, Commissioner Salas, as far as your report, if you have one, but, talking about Gila Regional, and I do have some of the same sentiments that Commissioner Edwards has and that, but I guess this would be more of a question for whoever can answer it. Is my understanding is that Gila Regional put a strategic plan together. Is it possible for, I guess, Ms. Tadias and Mr. Stokes to give us a report or stand in front of us to let us know where they're at on some of their, and I'm talking, brief report, it's probably a lengthy document, which from what I've seen is some of that, and I've seen that they have done reports on financials and people that they're hiring and some of the openings that they have, but I would really like to see, and I'm talking more transparency for the public from their part, is a report as to where they're at in their strategic plan, what they've accomplished, what they haven't accomplished, or what they're in the middle of. I think that's going to answer a lot of questions for myself. So if that can be done, I would like for someone to reach out to them and let them know, maybe next commissioner meeting or work session.
Excellent idea.
So I will take that as a request to request that of the CEO, and I will do that.
Thank you. And sorry, Mr. Stiles, I'm going ahead, but, and I guess, not knowing this, but I guess all of us, or at least three of us, I've talked to, our county manager about Boston Hill, which, I think would be a great idea there, and whatever we can do or move forward with that down the road there. Other than that, the only other thing is, roads as a commissioner, I did speak with some residents from the Arenas Valley Road, and I'm understanding that that's probably something that's in progress as part of, their concerns are, there's some areas coming off of 180 that are really bumpy, and I know, and I think I talked to Misha, and there's some works in progress.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that is one of the roads we've identified to reconstruct with our GEO bond monies. Was one of the top projects.
Okay. Good. So it's being looked at that way. And I told them I told these people it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. The other piece to this, and I guess this is my turn, is contacting somebody for Highway 180. And I talked to Misha a little bit about it. They have some concerns when they're turning off into, Kirkland Road is a little dangerous. I understand as a state highway department. And the other part is when you're turning off by Mis Amigos there onto Old Arenas Valley Road, the rumble strips on the side, they have brought up some concerns on that and how it can be. I understand it's for warning and so forth, and it helps drivers, but I think when you're making a left-hand turn or even a right-hand turn, it can be a little daunting there. But just to bring those up in my account in the commissioner report there. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Commissioner Salas, sorry.
Well, I want to echo some of the concerns that commissioners have voiced on the hospital. I know we weren't part of the lengthy process it was, but we have information to it, and I think that we need to keep due diligence on it, and we have to keep, our oversight on, and keep the pulse of that hospital so that it never goes back to the problems that there were before. And I am very concerned also with all the vacancies. It seems like there should be people that could fill those jobs, because that's a lot, and that is direct care. So I really echo the concerns, and I think that we need some really rational answers to those concerns. Okay, and my other comment is on Baton Park. I want to make sure that we make some decisions and some action is done quickly. We're coming upon the season where it's going to be utilized a lot. And right now, I'm just concerned about, the entrance. So I suppose that we're going to get a report or something on the architect or something, because I really want to see if, we can get something done quickly. And then I want to put it on the ICIP for next year. Okay. Now, the other thing I have is I want to put policy change so you can start thinking about it. Okay, so okay, on our conduct policy, I would like to change it, and I'll let you guys read the highlighted area first. Okay, so what I would like to put in there, because, and let me maybe first explain my rationale. I know that probably all of you get complaints or things from all your constituents, and maybe county employees. So they come to us, and mostly they're going to be complaints of some nature. This road needs, grading, or why did you grade that one, or, that one's a private road, various complaints that we get. And somebody might take a picture of it, give it to you, or whatever. I just want to have the freedom to take that information, but in no way usurp the power of the county manager. So, what I'd like to put in there is that it's not a violation of this policy if information is obtained by a commissioner, as long as it's provided to the county manager. So if we get any kind of information, we get it, and then we forward it to the county manager. And I always put a caveat to the people that, I'll be giving this information to the county manager. But since that wording makes it look like it's a violation of conduct policy, I just want to make sure that it's not.
Let me ask for a clarification. I know this is comment section, so let me know if you'd rather discuss this in an appropriate agenda item or now during the comment.
I think some discussion will come in the closed session.
Well, this is a policy, and so our discussion of the policy should be an open session. Our discussion of specific personnel issues is in closed session. But I would like to discuss the policy in open session. I just don't know.
That's why I put it out here.
I just don't know if now is the time, because it's not on our agenda as a discussion topic. So that's my question.
Would it be better to make it an agenda item to be able to discuss it further in next meeting?
That seems appropriate to me.
Probably the most appropriate way to do this, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, my thing was putting a seed there so you can think about this, because I do want to put it as an agenda item for our next meeting. Okay. So I want to, that way. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's
all.
I was just going to move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters regarding county manager and staff pursuant to NMSA 1978 10-15-1 H2.
Okay, we're sorry. We have a second by Commissioner Miller. You want a roll call?
Roll call. Chairman Munster, Commissioners Edwards, Brown, Billings, and Salas, are you all aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes.
So what?